What's up, guys? It's Techno Viking 23 coming to you today with a little bit of Destiny. We're going to be talking about the Taken King again. Like I said, we've been getting a lot of information coming out about the newest, what I'm calling the new Destiny. It's not really an expansion in my eyes because they are just making so many changes to the base game that Taken King is going to be like a whole brand new game, basically. Again, it feels like year one of Destiny was just kind of a beta test for Bungie that unfortunately we all had to pay quite a bit for. As I've said in my other videos, it does really seem like they are doing a really good job with it. Seems like they are making a lot of changes that the community asked for, and it seems like overall it's going to be a really good expansion, or a new game, as I was saying. So, couldn't help notice though, Game Informer articles come out, there's a ton of information on the Taken King, but I couldn't help notice that something very glaring is missing from what is coming in September. And that is the fact that despite all the additions and all the other stuff they are putting into the Taken King, there is still no indication that there is going to be any matchmaking for in-game activities and in-game content in Destiny. And I think that is a really big mistake on Bungie's part. It's something the community has been asking for, at least a part of the community has been asking for quite a while. And I know it's got its detractors as well, people who just simply do not want any kind of matchmaking for in-game in this game. Some of those people have valid reasons, other of them are just being elitists. But for the most part, I can understand both sides. But personally, I feel having matchmaking for in-game activities would only serve to benefit the game and make the game a much better experience for everyone that's involved. I use myself as an example of this. I have extensive experience with Looking for Group, and while Looking for Group is a great tool, it really can be hit or miss, and it can also discourage a lot of players who don't have a lot of time to play Destiny to not even try to play some of the in-game content, some of the raids, and things like that. And at this point, I think, we finally got them to give us matchmaking for the weekly heroic strike, which for some odd reason took forever. And we still don't have it for the Nightfall. We still don't have it for the raids or anything else. I don't see why we don't have it for the Nightfall Strike. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. The Nightfall Strike is essentially just a tougher version of the weekly heroic strike, and everybody at this point pretty much knows how to play those. Everybody knows how to, how you have to account for the burns and other things. And I think it's just kind of ridiculous they don't at least have matchmaking for the Nightfall. You have to go on to Looking for Group, which again is an outside website. It's not built in within the game. So it makes it, it adds another step in trying to access that in-game content. I've heard the arguments for the raids. People say you're just going to get a bunch of trollers and griefers and people who are just going to get on and not be good teammates. Well, guess what? That happens in Looking for Group all the time as well. And I'm going to talk about my own experience with Looking for Group here in just a second. But as I said, I don't think you're going to hurt the game by adding in an option. And I say it has to be optional. I think you have to be able to opt in somehow. I don't think they should force it on everybody like they did with the weekly heroic. If you still want to run it solo, or that's your option. But the thing is, most of the people who don't want matchmaking in the game already have a set group of people they're playing with every week. And for those those people, I see them always chiming in about how matchmaking is bad and how they shouldn't put it in the game. But my thing is though, if you're already one of those people that has a clan, if you have people you play with, then there's really no need for you to try to rain on everybody else's parade. You have your group. Matchmaking is not going to affect you whatsoever. It's just let the people who want to have the matchmaking have it and make it an option as well. If it's optional and you have to actually opt into it, that would prevent anyone from being able to just kind of drop into your group. A lot of people are worried that they're running their 6-man raid team and somebody disconnects and then some random, is going to drop in and be on their team. Well, if you don't have opt-in for optional matchmaking, that wouldn't happen. But anyways, moving on to my experience, everybody always says, well, use the Looking for Group site. You have to use the Looking for Group, and my thing is, I'm not a hardcore Destiny player by any means. I probably do play a little bit more than the average player, but most of the time, I work during the week, and depending on how my workload is, I usually work anywhere from 40 to 60 hours a week, and don't really have that much time to play Destiny during the week. Most of my time to play Destiny is on the weekends. And what happens is I will get a couple hours to play, and my whole thing is if I come home and I've got an hour or two at night to play Destiny, I just want to jump on and play the game, and it would be cool if I could get on and matchmake for a Nightfall Strike, but I can't. It would be cool if I could just jump on and matchmake for a quick run of Crota, which, you know, takes about 30 to 45 minutes now, depending on how decent your team is. It would be great to be able to do that content, but unfortunately, there's no option to matchmake, so it's kind of difficult. In my general experience with looking for group, I have used it extensively. I've used it to run raids, I've used it for Nightfalls, I've used it for Prison of Elders. My general experience with it is hit or miss. I've had some really, really great groups, and I've had some really, really terrible groups. Really nothing in between. And, you know, the people are always saying, well, you know, everybody AFKs and strikes and does all this other stuff. I think that's a small minority. I've probably played, I don't even want to know how many strikes I've played in this game. It's well over 500 at this point. And I can count the number of people who have AFK'd and trolled in those strikes on one hand. It doesn't happen as often as the detractors would tell you it does, at least in my personal experience. Now, using looking for group, I've had great groups where we got in immediately. Everybody on the team pretty much vibed together very well. There was no fighting. There was nobody arguing about what to do. Nobody wanting cheese stuff. Just everybody kind of knew what to do and had a good time. And then I've also been on looking for group where we got on to looking for group, and basically what happened is you get on there, you spend 30 minutes trying to find a team, you finally get into a team, and the problem I've had is I see people that are on there, they say, oh, we're looking for 2 more for Vaulted Glass, or 2 more for Crota, or whatever. I will send them a message on looking for group, I will send them a private message on PlayStation 4, and I never get a response. And then I see them 5 minutes later still looking for 2 more people, and I'm like, well, if you're looking for 2 more people, why don't you respond to your messages of people sending you that want to actually play with you and get your group full? You know, it's kind of funny. But I run into that a lot. There's not really much communication. And when you do finally get on a team, half the people don't have microphones. And if they do, they're not using them. And if they do have them, they use them to argue. And it's just really funny. It can be very aggravating. And my experience is, you know, I've had groups where we got on and it was like, okay, we're gonna do the Crota raid. So we get on to Crota. We get 5 people together, and then one guy's like, well, you know, my buddy's going to join us, but he had to go walk his dog real quick, and he'll be back. So we sit there and we wait. And then then that guy gets back finally, and another guy's like, oh, crap, guys, my girlfriend just got home, and I got to go do this. And, you know, it's just, there's all kinds of stuff that happens. And then if you run into the least bit of resistance while you're doing the raid, if somebody wipes, if somebody dies, there's all this moaning and groaning, and everybody complains, and then if you wipe a few too many times on a certain area, then everybody wants to quit, and it can go on and on. I had a Crota raid that I always use as the bad example, and we got on, and we basically were running Crota raid. We got through the abyss, we got to the bridge, and there were 2 guys on the team that wanted to cheese it. Everybody else wanted to do it legit. There was this huge argument, this huge fight. Guys started to troll and die on purpose, and you know, activate the Annihilator totems on purpose, and it just became a giant mess. And by the time we actually got that, we did finish that raid. It was a Crota hard mode. It took us almost 2 hours. And we had probably at least 12 people who cycled in and out of the group. So it was very aggravating. And that was, you know, experiences like that make me not want to use looking for group. And they really also turn off a lot of other more casual players from using the same system. It can be a really bad system at times. It can also work very well, but it's just such a hit or miss thing. And the thing is, if you put optional matchmaking in the game, it's not going to be any worse than what's already on looking for group. And also, it's going to be in the game, so it's going to be much easier for people to access and use. And I think personally, it can only add to the game. So you have a lot of people out there, kind of like me, who are I consider myself a pretty decent player. You know, I'm a very team-oriented guy. Like to play. I don't like to cause any problems. I just like to go do the content and have fun with it. And I think there's a lot of other players like me who unfortunately do not take part in looking for group due to all the negative experiences they've had with it, and just don't even play or even bother to play the in-game content in Destiny. So that's very unfortunate, and I think, you know, it's something that I think they could put in the game. Like I said, make it an optional opt-in and let everybody have access to play that in-game content. Now, the good thing about Taken King, I will say, is that they are getting rid of the light level, which is also going to eliminate a lot of the elitism. That's something you used to see a lot of times. Everybody's like, oh, you're not a 34, you're not a 32. You know, and that was the other thing too, is if you didn't have a group with those people, you couldn't actually get on and do the raids to get the gear that would get you to max level. And that's been a problem in the game as well for a lot of people who don't have a lot of time to play. It's very difficult to get on and find a group quickly on looking for a group, and then again you have to deal with the kind of the crapshoot that it is in order to get a good group. So eliminating the light level, letting everybody get to level 40 through experience, I think is going to help eliminate that a little bit. I think it's going to be good because you're going to be able to kind of play whatever content you want to reach max level. And obviously the people who are going to be doing the raid and some of the higher end game content are going to get a little bit better gear, but at the end of the day, everybody's going to be level 40, so it's not going to be as big of an issue as it used to be. But still, I think it would be a good idea for Bungie to finally just, give us an optional matchmaking system for the in-game content, or at the very least, put an area in the game, in the tower, where people can meet up and get on raid teams, like Group Finder. Put some kind of team finding tool in the game that we can actually use instead of having to go to an outside website, taking that extra time, and basically, adding all those extra steps to kind of sort of block the in-game content from just regular players. I really wish they would add that in. They've been doing a lot of good things with the Taken King, a lot of stuff that's coming out, so it shows that they really are paying attention, and they are starting to finally get it and give us the game that we've been waiting for over a year. So I really do hope at some point they will add in that optional matchmaking system, and we'll be able to finally get that, and have just that much better experience for some other players in the game. It'll only enhance the game by allowing more people to experience it. So anyways, guys, that's my opinion on it. Would love to hear your thoughts down below. Of course, do so in somewhat of a civil manner so we can have some intelligent discussion. But I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you again next time.